Hello everyone, it's Katie here from the Queen of Teen Fiction, and I am here with an update from my first week of NaNoWriMo. First of all, I have to apologise for the lighting in this room right now because it is super dark outside, even though it is only 2 PM and I don't have any fancy lights that can illuminate me. So yeah, the lighting is pretty awful and I apologise for that. So I finished the first week of NaNoWriMo. It is currently day 7 and I have written 9,000 words so far. So I'm a little behind on the official word count goals, and I am definitely more behind than I would like to be, because ideally I wanted to get ahead in this first week, but that just hasn't happened. I have definitely found it more difficult than I anticipated this year. I kidded myself into believing that it was going to be a little easier to write because I was rewriting a story that I'd already written. But because I'm starting from scratch and the characters are completely different, it is basically like writing a completely new story. And I have had a few problems, so it has been quite difficult. I've been finding myself doing the worst possible thing as well, where I'm going back and changing things just after I've written them. And I need to leave that, I need to stop editing as I'm writing. But the important thing is that I am really enjoying writing the story. I'm having lots of fun changing things up. So even though I'm behind on the word count, I am happy with what I am writing so far. What I am finding this year is I am having a lot more trouble with my characters. As I'm writing, I've found myself changing their personalities a lot from what I originally intended them to be. Which I suppose is a good thing, because it's like the characters are deciding their own fates, really. I'm currently working on chapter 7 in my novel, and I've just gone back to get rid of a character because she was such a cliche, bitchy character, like the queen bee of the high school, that type of character, and I realised that there was absolutely no need for her to be there. I felt like I'd forced myself into writing a character like that because I see so much of it in other books and in movies and TV shows as well. And I was just writing something really bitchy that she was saying, and I was thinking to myself, why am I writing this? A character like that absolutely does not have to be included in this story. And I was so angry at myself for creating such a cliche bitchy girl character. I don't want to be writing female characters like that. I want my female characters to all be supporting each other, because girl power. So I've been going back through my story and completely changing that and cutting that cattiness out of it. What is becoming apparent to me though as I'm writing, that maybe the story I'm working on is not going to fit into one novel. I'm thinking that this is possibly a story that I'm going to continue, mostly because I have an idea for a main antagonist, but I don't want him to be introduced fully into this story because he doesn't really fit into this one. But he is what I envision as my antagonist for this series. So it was after I'd written a couple of chapters that I decided this wasn't going to be a one-book story. And throughout writing, I have been taking notes and writing passages for things that I'd hope to include later on, not in the story that I'm writing right now, but in a sequel. So I don't know whether that's going to be the next project I work on during Camp NaNoWriMo in the summer, which will be interesting because I've never written a sequel to one of my stories before. I usually prefer to write standalone stories, so I kind of like that I've committed myself to this idea quite a lot. So that is kind of something that I've taken away from this NaNoWriMo, and it's definitely something I find useful, is to, if you do have conversations between your characters in your head that don't quite fit into the story that you're writing now, or even just passages and phrases that you think up, write them down because they might be useful in another story, but with the same characters. So although you might think you're working on a standalone story, it might develop into a series as you're writing it. So yeah, my advice to anyone doing NaNoWriMo is to just write down anything that comes into your head throughout this month. Nothing is too insignificant. You don't know what you might think up now that could be helpful later, even though it doesn't really make sense to you now. Also, when I was doing Camp NaNoWriMo in the summer, I had this problem where I was thinking up more ideas whilst I was working on one story, and then I got really excited and distracted by them and had to write them all down in a notebook. That has happened again this time. Whilst writing this current story, I have come up with an idea for a different story that I really love, and I'm so excited about it, but I can't work on it now because I have to stay in the mind frame of this story, otherwise I'll just get too distracted. So I spent about an hour writing down the basic idea that I'd had. I'm trying to force myself to just put that away and ignore it now until after NaNoWriMo. Otherwise I'll just want to work on that one straight away, and I can't do that. But it is good that I'm being inspired to come up with more ideas this month. So yeah, that is how my first week of NaNoWriMo has gone so far. It hasn't been great, but I'm not in the crisis zone yet. I haven't had a complete plot meltdown so far. So that's good. Like I said before, I am still behind on the word count, but I'm not panicking too much about that yet, because I usually do fall behind in the first week. Hopefully I will try and get ahead in the second week. Hopefully I'll make another video at the end of the week to let you know how that goes. But yeah, that's about it for now. So if you are doing NaNoWriMo this month, feel free to share your woes in the comments. Let me know how it's going for you. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. Bye!